Let's talk about something that often gets misunderstood. When we look at someone with avoidant tendencies, the surface makes us believe they don't want connection, they don't need anyone, they're self-sufficient to the core. But that's only half the truth. If you dig deeper, if you peel back the layers of defense mechanisms, what you'll discover is that even the most avoidant person carries within them a longing, a hunger, for stability, for a partner they can finally exhale with. It's not that they don't want closeness. It's that closeness has historically felt unsafe. Love, in their experience, hasn't been freedom. It's been risk. So the avoidant adapts by convincing themselves that distance equals safety, that walls equal control. But the deeper truth is this: beneath the armor is a human being who craves the same stability we all do, only they don't yet know how to trust it. Think about it. Every person on this planet, no matter how guarded, no matter how detached they seem, is wired for connection. It's biology, it's psychology, it's survival. An avoidant doesn't reject connection because they don't need it. They reject it because they fear the pain that has been associated with it. And so their radar is always scanning, not for intensity, not for sparks that fizzle, but for consistency. Stability is the goal they're after, even if they can't admit it to themselves. It's the steady partner who doesn't crumble when they pull away. It's the one who doesn't play games, who doesn't weaponize love, who doesn't disappear when things get uncomfortable. That stability becomes more valuable to them than any fireworks at the beginning. Here's the paradox: the avoidant's very behavior often pushes away the kind of stability they want most. They test, they withdraw, they question, because their nervous system is wired to expect rejection. And yet, when someone endures that storm without abandoning them, something begins to shift. For the first time, the avoidant feels a flicker of possibility that maybe, just maybe, this person won't leave when it gets difficult. And that realization cracks the door open. Stability, not passion, is what makes them take the risk of walking through it. Now, stability doesn't mean perfection. It doesn't mean never making mistakes. It means showing up consistently with honesty and presence. The avoidant isn't drawn to the loudest or the flashiest partner. They're drawn to the one who feels like home. The one who doesn't make love conditional. The one who says, "I see you even when you hide, I'm not running." That kind of presence cuts through decades of defenses. Because endurance is a rare quality in a world obsessed with instant gratification. And make no mistake, this is not about tolerating abuse or excusing toxic patterns. Endurance in this context is strength. It's resilience. It's knowing who you are so clearly that another person's defenses don't destabilize you. That's what an avoidant unconsciously searches for. They need someone whose steadiness can hold the weight of their fear without collapsing. That's the stability they marry. Not the one who tries to force intimacy, not the one who makes demands, but the one who demonstrates through action, time and again, that they are safe. At the end of the day, the avoidant doesn't marry the person who excites them most in the beginning. They marry the person who endures, the one who proves that love doesn't vanish when walls go up. And when they find that stability, when they recognize it, it's not just attractive, it's transformational. Because for the first time, their fear is no longer stronger than their longing. And that's when commitment becomes not only possible, but inevitable. The truth is simple. Avoidants marry the partner who doesn't just ignite passion, but who offers the stability to withstand their storms. Stability is not just what they want. It's what they need. And when they find it, they don't let go. When you really study the avoidant pattern, you notice something powerful. It's not the passionate declarations of love, not the dramatic gestures, not the emotional fireworks that earn their trust. It's endurance, the ability to stand steady when the waves of withdrawal, silence, or distance come crashing in. Avoidants don't test their partners in obvious ways. They test through absence. They test through retreat. They test by pulling away just to see. Will you chase? Will you collapse? Or will you hold steady? And here's the paradox. What they actually respect is not chasing and not collapsing, but enduring. Endurance doesn't mean waiting around passively, swallowing your needs, or sacrificing your dignity. That's not strength, that's self-abandonment. Endurance in the healthy sense is the quiet, powerful ability to remain anchored in who you are, even when the avoidant detaches. It's holding space without panic. It's saying, I see your fear, I see your wall, and I don't need to bulldoze it down or run away from it. I'll stand here as me. That kind of strength is rare, and it's magnetic to someone who has lived their entire life expecting others to break under pressure. Think of it this way. The avoidant has learned that intimacy equals danger. So when someone gets close, their nervous system panics and they push away. Most people, when pushed away, respond with their own fear. Anger, desperation, withdrawal. And in that moment, the avoidant says to themselves, see, I was right. Closeness isn't safe. But when they push and the partner doesn't break, when the partner doesn't demand or collapse, something extraordinary happens. The avoidant's nervous system is confronted with a new experience. Endurance. Someone who doesn't get destroyed by their distance. Someone who stays rooted. That endurance is what begins to unravel the narrative of fear that's been driving them for years. And let's be honest, it takes tremendous inner power to endure in this way. It requires emotional maturity, self-awareness, and the ability to not take another person's fear personally, because their distance is not really about you. It's about wounds that existed long before you came along. If you can hold your center in the middle of that storm, you send a message louder than any words. I am not fragile. This relationship can withstand pressure, and I don't need to break you open to stay connected. That's the kind of message an avoidant hears, even if they never say it out loud. Endurance then becomes the proof of strength. It's not glamorous. It doesn't look like the Hollywood version of romance. It looks like patience. It looks like not panicking when they need space. It looks like not begging for validation because you already know your worth. It looks like showing up consistently without turning love into a transaction. And over time, this is what transforms the relationship. The avoidant who has spent a lifetime expecting abandonment finally experiences the shock of constancy. And once they see it's real, they can no longer deny the power of it. The truth is, passion burns bright but burns out fast if it's not anchored in endurance. Avoidants don't attach for life to the one who excites them the most. They attach to the one who endures, the one who proves over and over again that they are not intimidated by fear. That kind of endurance builds respect, and respect deepens into trust, and trust, for the avoidant, is the rarest gift of all. In the end, endurance is not just patience, it's power. It's the quiet strength that outlasts fear. And when an avoidant finds someone who can endure without losing themselves, that's the person they choose for life. If there's one thing we need to understand about avoidance, it's that trust is not built in grand gestures or endless promises. It's built in the quiet rhythm of consistency. For an avoidant, pressure is suffocating. The more you push, the more you demand closeness. The more you try to extract proof of their love, the more their defenses flare. They don't retreat because they don't care. They retreat because their nervous system is wired to interpret urgency as danger. To them, demands feel like chains. And what does the avoidant crave more than anything else? Freedom. Not freedom from love, but freedom within love. This is where consistency enters the picture. Imagine someone who shows up again and again, not with force, but with steadiness. Not with demands, but with presence. That's how trust begins to take root. Because trust, for the avoidant, is not about hearing, I'll never leave you, 1,000 times. It's about seeing, day after day, that you are there without trying to cage them. It's about experiencing your stability without being smothered by your need. Over time, those repetitions become more powerful than any words. Think about it, anyone can be consistent when things are easy, when the relationship feels light and full of connection. But the real test comes when the avoidant inevitably pulls back. That's when consistency is either proven or exposed. If you panic, if you punish, if you make ultimatums, the avoidant confirms their worst fear. Closeness equals control. Attunement is not mind reading, it is see. If you continue to show up with authenticity, the avoidant begins to recalibrate their understanding of intimacy. They begin to realize that closeness doesn't have to equal suffocation. Consistency is not passivity. It doesn't mean silencing your needs or pretending everything is fine. It means expressing your needs clearly, but without drama. It means showing your partner that you can respect their rhythm without betraying your own. That balance, holding space while standing firm in your truth, is what makes the avoidant slowly lean in. Because now intimacy isn't something being demanded of them. It's something they're being invited into. And an invitation, unlike a demand, can be accepted freely. You see, trust for the avoidant is not a lightning bolt. It's not instant. It's a gradual process of deconstructing years of fear. And the only thing strong enough to rewrite that script is consistency. Not perfection, not a flawless record, but a repeated pattern of showing up with presence, honesty, and respect. Consistency is what softens the armor. Consistency is what says, I'm not going anywhere, and I don't need to control you to love you. And here's the deeper truth. When you stop demanding, you give the avoidant room to choose you. And when they choose, they do so with full intent. Because they haven't been coerced. They haven't been trapped. They've recognized through your steady presence that you're safe. That's when commitment becomes real, not because you forced it, but because they gave it freely. So if you want to know what builds unshakable trust with an avoidant, it's not intensity. It's consistency. It's the daily, quiet choice to stand steady without chaining them. And when that trust takes root, the avoidant finally discovers something they never thought possible, that love can coexist with freedom. And that's the moment everything changes. Here's what happens when endurance and consistency finally meet the heart of an avoidant. The relationship shifts from a tug-of war into a true partnership. For so long, the avoidant has lived inside a cycle of retreat and return. They pull back when intimacy feels too close, and they circle back when the silence feels too heavy. That cycle keeps them safe in the short term, but keeps them lonely in the long run. And then one day, they encounter someone who doesn't just survive the cycle, but breaks it, not by force, not by pressure, but by staying rooted. This is where endurance transforms into something far greater. It stops being about one person tolerating another's walls. It becomes the seed of a partnership where love is not fragile, where presence is not conditional, and where intimacy grows without being forced. The avoidant begins to recognize that the person who has stood with them through the storms is not their adversary, not their trap, but their ally. That recognition is powerful. It flips the script entirely. What once felt like danger now starts to feel like safety. What once felt like a cage now begins to feel like home. And here's the beauty of it. The avoidant doesn't commit out of obligation. They commit out of recognition. They see, often for the first time in their lives, that love can be a partnership instead of a battlefield. That realization doesn't come in a dramatic moment. It builds over time through endurance, through consistency, through the unwavering presence of someone who doesn't give up when it gets hard. That's when the avoidant finally allows themselves to lean in, not halfway, but fully. Now, let's be clear. This transformation doesn't mean the avoidant suddenly becomes perfectly secure. The walls don't vanish overnight. But what changes is the foundation. Instead of a relationship built on fear and testing, it becomes a relationship built on respect and trust. And when trust is in place, the walls no longer serve the same purpose. They start to come down brick by brick, not because they were knocked down, but because they're no longer needed. That's the moment intimacy becomes real. That's the moment partnership takes root. The avoidant marries the one who endures not just because that person stayed, but because that endurance revealed a truth the avoidant couldn't deny. You are safe here. You are loved here. You don't have to run anymore. That truth is what allows them to finally step into the partnership they secretly longed for all along. This is why I say endurance transforms into partnership, because endurance alone could feel like tolerating difficulty. But when paired with love, with self-respect, with patience, it evolves into something much deeper. It becomes the glue that holds the relationship steady as it matures into a true union. The avoidant learns to relax into love, and the partner learns that strength doesn't come from forcing change but from embodying it. Together, they create a relationship that no longer circles around fear but moves forward into growth. And here's the ultimate takeaway. Avoidants don't marry the one who shines brightest at the start. They marry the one who stood the test, the one who saw beyond the defenses, the one who proved that love isn't fragile, that it doesn't vanish when it's challenged. And in that moment of recognition, the avoidant doesn't just choose a partner. They choose freedom, because real freedom is not in running away. Real freedom is in finding someone you can finally stay with. The truth is simple. The one who endures doesn't just win the avoidant's loyalty. They win their heart. And once they give it for life.